Hello, Milos. How's things in Houston? It's 20 years since the Socceroos qualified, beating Uruguay. Your coach obviously played in that match. You were 11. You were already in Australia. Must have some memories yourself. Is that being shown around camp this weekend for a bit of motivation?
Hey mate, hope you're well. Houston's nice weather. Actually, we've got quite fortunate to have beautiful weather. Yeah, it's been a while, since they qualified, since that miraculous night in Sydney, and the boss was there. He played, and I think we've seen a lot of the footage, and it's been all over the social media, and we've had a few chats as well, and what those moments meant for us. And I think all in all, those moments were very special for all of us in our own ways. We were young kids and aspiring to one day be Socceroos, and take our nation to the World Cup as they did back then, that so-called golden generation. And those moments are moments, I think, in Australian football that will never be forgotten, and they should never be forgotten as well. And they should live long in the memories of all of us, I think.
Marco.
Milosh, I guess a few injuries to some defenders in going into this camp. There's a few sort of new faces sort of at the back there. How are they settling in, and what's your sort of, I guess, what's some advice being to them?
Look, yeah, unfortunate, period where a few boys, Harry's still injured, Ali just got injured, which is not ideal, and it's a little unfortunate. Jordan Boss as well, not ideal timing. Hopefully they'll be back soon and back and ready to play. The boys that most of the boys have already been into some camps, so they're not that new. There's only a few that this is their first camp, but I can't complain. Everyone's really focused, switched on, and everyone knows what's expected from them, from the boss. And I think everyone's put their best foot forward this whole week in training. It's been really good to see, and I think the standard's been really good. The boys that have come in of good quality and are playing at their respective clubs, and I think the quality of all the players here is very high.
Amanda.
Hi, Milosh. Tony
Hi.
recently said that when he first took over the role, he didn't necessarily expect to see you in his squad, but now you're almost one of the first picked. So, what has this spell under him been like for you?
Oh, I just got goosebumps when you asked me that question. Yeah, it was a very nice, moment that I came across that on the social media. I got tagged in a few videos, and I'll be honest, it was really special that he said something like that nice about me. It means a lot to me, and he speaks highly of him as the person he is. Um, for me, it's just shown that he's given me a little bit of trust, and I've tried to repay that as best I could when I play, and I'll continue to try and repay that when I play and when I'm in camp. Coming from someone like him who was a defender himself, and who had a spectacular career for club and country, and now he's a Socceroos coach. For me, that means just a little bit more. And I'm deep down, I'm very proud, but it was a beautiful moment that he did say something like that to me. I reached out to him and thanked him for it, and so yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Jake.
Hi, Milos. Hope all's going well in camp. Congratulations. I mean, you're one of the most experienced boys in this camp now. I mean, 50 plus caps.
Getting old.
A decade or so ago, you were making a decision between Serbia and Australia. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a very topical thing at the moment in terms of a lot of players choosing between countries and figuring out, and obviously the boss has made his thoughts clear on that. I was wondering if you could sort of take us back to that decision for you and what it was like behind the scenes at the time, and sort of what your advice would be to players who are in a similar position.
Yeah, mate. Look, I've been here for about almost 11 years in the Socceroos, and I had a similar period, like you say, like some of the boys are weighing up now whether they should play for certain countries. Some boys have taken that route to play for another country. Some boys are still sitting on the fence. And look, my decision was very simple. My background is of Serbian descent. My family, we all speak Serbian and all that. But I looked at what country gave me, my family, my loved ones, the best opportunity to live a normal, healthy life. Coming from a war-torn country, surviving through 2 wars, and coming to Australia was an eye-opener for us. And I've said this many times, and it's probably annoying and boring that I can't give back to Australia what they've given to me and my family, but I try and repay that with utmost respect that I can on the pitch. But to be honest, mate, the players that are making the decisions now, I think you have to have that feeling inside here. Like, it has to come from within. It can't be someone telling you, "Oh, please play for us," or "Please play for." You have to have that feeling yourself. And if you're not content with what you feel inside to come play for Australia, then you shouldn't be here. Once you come here, you have to be 110% behind that feeling and play for this country with pride and joy and love. And I think, the boys that are on the fence, I think they need to realize what this country offers you and what this football country offers you and what the Socceroos offer you. And to realize that the Socceroos are actually one big family. It's not just a national team where you're just a number. It's a national team where, we're a part of a big family, and it's a national team that's going forward. And I believe going forward, it's going to be even bigger and better.
Anna.
Yeah, before that. Milos, just to go back to what Amanda asked about, in that sort of 18-month absence that you're doing with injuries, I know you had a rough stint with club moves and all that too. Were there moments where you thought you wouldn't get back to representing your country?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tony clearly thought at one point it wouldn't happen, right?
Yeah, look, I will be really honest. I thought it was going to be a long shot, especially that time while I was injured. That's where the change happened with Arnie and Tony. And, I thought, in all honesty, I thought maybe I'll get one chance. Maybe I'll come into at least one camp just to, sort of not say my goodbyes, but come into camp and, put my best foot forward and see what happens. And, I had the opportunity. I came into one camp and, the boss gave me, I didn't play. I came, I trained for 10 days and, I thought I did my best to put my foot forward and to show what I can offer. But while I was injured and while a lot of things were happening and I wasn't playing and, I was away for a while, I thought, deep down I thought it was probably going to be it, because there's obviously every time there's younger players, new players coming in, and that's the way it should work and that's the way the football should be. And, the young players are going to take over eventually. But, I think now's not the time for the young ones to take over. We want to be around a little bit longer. No, just joking. I think, it's really nice to see some of us older ones here and the younger ones coming through. It's a joy to see, and it's something that I'm really proud of, because I know I was one of the young ones 10 years ago when I was here, and now I'm one of the older ones, and I'd love to stay here as long as I can and, help them become what I am now.
John.
G'day, Milos. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep.
Obviously, the camp's with one man down today with Danny heading home. In terms of, I guess, is that a sign of just how intense the training has been in terms of trying to impress Tony to make sure that these guys, some of the newer faces, are trying to force their way into his thinking ahead of the World Cup? And also, a question also about Venezuela. They're obviously not in the World Cup. Are you concerned that they've got nothing to lose? They might start just, flying tackles in and everything else. So is that a concern for you guys?
In regards to your first question, I think, that shows the intensity of training and the desire from all the players to impress. That no one's taken a backward step. Everyone's gone forward. The intensity in training is really high. The level's really good. The quality is really good. And I think everyone's just doing their best to impress. And, unfortunately, Denny, it's his first camp, and unfortunately he got injured, and hopefully he'll recover and he'll get another chance eventually in the future, I believe. Again, it's up to the boss and up to Danny to continue to play and work hard. In terms of Venezuela, I don't think we're scared of those tackles and things like that, even though they're not qualified. I think that's football. You're going to face teams where they're going to come flying in, then you're going to face teams who are not going to want to fly in. So it's part of football, and I think, we're well prepared for either scenario, and it's going to be a good test for us and a good game after, I think, 2 or 3 years we haven't played any South American opposition. So it's going to be a good test and a good game for sure.
Luke.
Hey, Milos, hope you're good, mate.
All good.
Just the impact of Riley and Jacko and a couple of the more experienced heads that you were talking about coming into camp and good to see again. Just their impact around the group, but also out on the training pitch as well.
Yeah, it's
been out there for a while in green gold.
Yeah, it's great to see Jacko back. It's great to see Riley. Goody's back as well. And look, I think that means a lot, especially Jacko, someone who's been around for a long time, someone who's been very good for the Socceroos, who's played, if I'm not wrong, 70, 73, 74 games. Someone who's at the top level, and he's been playing really well for the last 10, 12 years he's been a Socceroo. So I think it's very valuable for us, but it's more valuable for the young ones that are playing in his position to learn from him. And it's great to see Riley back after a few injuries. Hopefully he stays fit, because he's got an unbelievable quality that we need. And it's great to have those boys in, because it lifts the spirit, lifts the atmosphere, and it kind of spreads that, I guess, that maturity in the group around, not just from me and Maddie from the previous camps. It's more like me, Maddie. Now there's Jacko, Craig, Riley, a few of the guys that have been around a little bit and have a few more games than others. So it's really good to have them here.
Around the grounds, hands up, please. Bent.
Yeah, Milos, you speak with such passion about the Socceroos, you're playing with passion, you've been to the World Cup. What more do you think you have to prove? Because it still feels like you're all fighting for spots to be at the next one.
I think I've got a lot to prove, mate. I think there's it's a difficult one. I think there's no right or wrong answer here. I think it's just doesn't matter that I've been to 2 World Cups. It doesn't matter that I've played for my country X amount of times. I think every new opportunity you get to play for your country is special, and more special than the previous one. And this World Cup is different. For me personally, it's different. I've got 2 young kids. I had them in the last World Cup, but I've got them now who are a little bit older, and I'd like them, touch wood and God willing, I'd like them to see their father play at a World Cup and do well and represent his country. So that for me is one goal that I want to fulfill. But it's not just that; it's also to prove myself that I've done all I can to go to another World Cup. And for me to go to the 3rd World Cup would be something I think it's beyond to say that I've dreamt of. It's not even possible to say that you can dream of going to 3 World Cups. So it's something that you can't describe.
Marco.
Milos, just on Denny again for a minute, what was the injury and how disappointing was it?
Mate, to be sure, I'm not really sure about what the extent of the injury is and what exactly it is. He's obviously devastated and disappointed, because it's his first camp and he'd love to put his best foot forward. So it's not an ideal moment. It's not an ideal scenario, but he's young. He's still got time, and I think if he recovers well and plays well for his club, he's always gonna have a chance. So it's an unfortunate moment that no one wishes upon anyone, but I'm sure he'll come back stronger.
Just to expand on that, it's not a serious injury. It's just a minor strain. So nothing serious, but obviously unavailable for these 2 games. Jake.
Neil, you spoke about getting back to Australia earlier. I mean, you played your entire career in Europe. I was wondering if you've considered, sort of obviously, as you're getting deeper into your career, if you've considered coming home to play in the A-League, if that's sort of something that's on your radar, if there's been any sort of opportunities in that sense recently popping up?
I've had opportunities, obviously, recently when I've moved from Red Star to another club in Serbia. I had the opportunity to come to Australia, and I just thought to myself, I'd like to stay in Europe a little bit longer, test myself and see what happens. But down the road, I'm open to it, mate. I'm open to it as long as the leagues run properly, as long as things are done right, as long as the league keeps growing, and hopefully not just for my sake, but for Football Australia and for the sake of kids who are 12, 13, 15, 18, that game grows and attracts more. And as you see, the A-League, a lot of the boys from the Socceroos now have come through the A-League. So it's a very, very good league in terms of that. And, it's valuable for Australian football. And I'd like to see myself there eventually down the road. And when that time comes, I'm not sure, but you know, I'm sure my wife and my kids would probably love to see Australia as well. Luke.
No, it's just expanding on the experience, guys. Just looking ahead to the World Cup. I mean, it's going to be difficult in terms of the travel, the time between games, the different sort of atmospheres. And I know all the European-based boys are used to that, backing up, you know, ad nauseum. How big a role do you think experience is going to play at the World Cup? Being able to, like Tony always says, have these battle-hardened guys in there, just because it is potentially spread across some really large distances.
Look, I think obviously we experienced ones that have already played. Say, for example, we're in Russia. Qatar was obviously a local-based World Cup, but the experience is there just to help the young ones realize how important recovery is, how important sleep is, how important the 1%ers are, you know, off the field, on the field, how important it is to train your heart out every single day, then to be prepared for those games in maybe tough conditions, in maybe conditions where you're going to have to fly 3 or 4 hours with the plane, then play the next day. But I think those things they're not that difficult and tough. I think it's just more the way you see it, mate. Maybe for you, you might come across and say, oh, the boys had it tough. They traveled 3 hours with a plane and had to play tomorrow. I think it's not that difficult, mate. It's just how you get your head around it. You know, the challenge, it's more a challenge to yourself to be able to prove to yourself, hey, that's not difficult. It's just 3 hours, 2 hours with the plane. You get off, you train, you play the next day, and you win the game. You get on the plane, you fly back to your base, and you go again and again and again until you win the World Cup. That's how it works, and that's how it happens. And then in July, we fly together as a group with Qantas, hopefully, if they want to give us a nice big plane, and we all fly back to Australia and celebrate the World Cup with, hopefully the Prime Minister would have time to come and celebrate with us. And yeah, it'll be pretty cool. A nice parade, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne, one in Adelaide, one in Perth. Things go for a little bit, you know, for about 2 weeks we parade throughout Australia, and happy days.
I think you'll find some rubies covered in it for that.
Hopefully, yeah.